Hey guys, Fletch over here, and today's video is going to be a Premier League preview show previewing Game 10 of the 2019-2020 season. This round of fixtures throws up some very interesting and should be exciting encounters, and in this video of course I'm going to be analysing them and giving my own predictions on each game. So without further ado, let's begin. We're going to begin with Friday night's game. Yes, there is a Friday night game, so remember to get your fantasy football team up to scratch before the deadline, as normally the Friday night game can catch many fantasy managers out. Anyway, the Friday night game comes from St Mary's, where Southampton entertain Leicester City. Last time out, Southampton drew 1-1 with Wolves, whilst the Foxes got back to winning ways with a 2-1 victory over Burnley last Saturday. Will Southampton get their first win in 4 games here, or will Leicester pick up their 6th win of the season? I can honestly only see one winner here, and that is Leicester. Southampton concede too many goals from shooting themselves in the foot, and against this Leicester side that are full of confidence and are working well together, I feel that this could be a good result for the Foxes coming up. I'm going to predict a 3-0 Leicester victory, with Jamie Vardy scoring yet again for the away side. For our next game, we're jumping ahead to one of the 4 fixtures to be played on Sunday, and it's always an interesting one when Liverpool and Tottenham clash, and this time it's at Anfield. Meeting for the first time since the Champions League final, both sides come into this one wanting to get back to winning ways in the league, with Liverpool seeing their perfect start to the season come to an end against Manchester United last time out, but they do still remain unbeaten following that 1-1 draw at Old Trafford, whilst Tottenham also drew 1-1 last time out against Watford. Will Liverpool remain unbeaten beyond this weekend, or will Tottenham get back to winning ways here? Big fixture for both sides here. Liverpool and their supporters will be wanting a response from their poor display against Manchester United last week, whilst Tottenham will want to see their team step up against tougher opposition. It's always an interesting and exciting game when these two sides meet, maybe Champions League final aside, but I think with Tottenham's current form and the issues that they seem to be having, I mean, yes, I will concede that like against United, they could catch Liverpool on a bad day and possibly get something from this game. I'm more leaning towards the Liverpool win though, and I'm going to say a 3-1 win to Jurgen Klopp's side to maintain their 6-point lead at the top of the table at least, and heap more pressure onto Mauricio Pochettino and Tottenham. Our next game takes us to Saturday's lunchtime kickoff as Manchester City host Aston Villa at the Etihad. Last time out, Manchester City got back to winning ways following a 2-0 victory over Crystal Palace, and went on to see Liverpool drop points to close the gap on the Reds to 6 points at the top of the table, whilst Aston Villa put together back-to-back wins for the first time this season following a last-gasp winner that caused them to win 2-1 against Brighton. Will City continue their pursuit of Liverpool, or will Villa stun City and make it 3 wins on the bounce? If Villa follow the Norwich blueprint on how they played against City and won, then Villa can very well get something from this game. Villa can play some nice stuff at times, but in this game they're going to need to be focused, resolute and fearless. The issue I have is that I don't think they'll be able to withstand it for a full 90 minutes, and that's where I think that they'll give it a good go, but I see City's endurance and quality being the factors that tip the scales in the home side's favour. I'm going to say a 3-1 City victory with Sergio Aguero back among the goals. Next, we go to Turf Moor, where Burnley entertained Chelsea in Saturday's evening fixture. Burnley suffered their 3rd defeat of the season last time out as their inconsistent start to the season continued, as they were beaten by Leicester 2-1 at the King Power Stadium. Whilst for Chelsea, they're currently on a 3-game winning streak and have entered the top 4 following a 1-0 victory over Newcastle. Will Burnley bounce back from last week's defeat, or will the Blues make it 4 wins on the bounce in this game? Another interesting fixture lies ahead in this game between two teams with 2 alternate styles as they clash, and this one has the potential to be an open game that may be a little difficult to call than what many will expect. Burnley could get something from this game of course, but I'm going to go with a Chelsea victory here, just because they're full of confidence and are creating a number of chances that I think will be too hot for Burnley to handle. I'm going to say a 2-1 Chelsea win with Tammy Abraham on the score sheet. Our next game sees the Gunners take on the Eagles as Arsenal host Crystal Palace at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal suffered their second defeat of the season last time out when they lost 1-0 to Sheffield United on Monday night, whilst Palace also suffered defeat as they lost 2-0 to Manchester City last weekend. Which side will get back to winning ways here? This is a big game for Arsenal here. They're back on home soil, they need a response from their defeat on Monday night, and they're facing some tricky opposition in Palace, who on their day can be a pretty tough nut to crack. As for Palace themselves, their good start to the season is facing a tough test in the coming weeks, beginning with Arsenal, and then they have other tough tests to come in the form of Leicester, Chelsea and Liverpool, as all those opponents are on the Eagles' horizon. As far as this game goes, I can honestly see this game going any which way, but if I had to stick my neck out on the line, I think I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. Yes, I can certainly see Arsenal winning this game with the attacking power that they possess, but for some reason I can honestly see Palace getting something from this game, so therefore I want to call it down the middle and go for a draw. Our next game features Norwich taking on Manchester United at Carrow Road. Norwich somewhat ended their 3-game losing streak last time out following their goalless draw with Bournemouth, whilst United also picked up a point in their game, which was a 1-1 draw with league leaders Liverpool. Will the Canaries claim victory over the second Manchester club this season, or will United record their third victory of their campaign? There will be more pressure on United this week than there was last week, and it will be interesting to see how they play out this game in comparison to the game against Liverpool. They're of course expected to win this game, but so far this season that weight of expectation hasn't been lived up to for large parts of the campaign already. And therefore, if Norwich can rediscover the form they displayed earlier in the season, mixed in with the defensive display that they put in against United's rivals Man City, maybe they could get something from this game. I honestly do think Norwich will actually get something from this game though. I wouldn't be surprised if United did end up getting the 3 points, but I really do think the game will end 2-2 with Marcus Rashford and Teemu Pukki both getting on the score sheet for their respective clubs. The Seagulls take on the Toffees in our next game of focus as Brighton host Everton at the Amex Stadium. Brighton lost to Aston Villa in their last game thanks to a last-gasp Matt Target goal which saw the Seagulls lose 2-1, whilst Everton put an end to their 4-game losing streak with a 2-0 victory over West Ham last Saturday. Will Brighton bounce back from their last defeat, or will Everton make it back-to-back wins in this game? Another game where the wrong result could easily put the pressure back on Marco Silva and Everton. They are very inconsistent and their away form is something that certainly needs to be improved upon. But as for Brighton, they're very inconsistent themselves in all honesty, and I guess the jury is still out on Mark Potter and his new look Seagulls side. This game will be an interesting one and a difficult one to call, but I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. I can see it going any which way, so I'm just going to call it straight down the middle, go with another draw, and I think it will end 1-1. Vicarage Road plays host to our next game of focus as Watford clash with Bournemouth on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Both sides played out draws last time out, with Watford drawing 1-1 with Tottenham in a game that consisted of a few controversial VAR calls, whilst Bournemouth played out a goalless stalemate with Norwich. Will Watford finally get their first victory of the season at the 10th time of asking, or will Bournemouth heap more pressure and misery onto the Hornets? As mentioned, Watford's latest result still means that the Hornets are still without a win this season and they're just not getting much luck right now, but they'll be hoping that they can turn that around very soon. As for Bournemouth, a good start to the season followed by a couple of underwhelming results and performances. They'll be looking to pick themselves up for this game, as this game is a very open and interesting one to watch. I'm going to predict a 2-1 Bournemouth win. I wouldn't be surprised to see Watford getting something from this game, but I'm going to give the edge to Bournemouth here and say that Callum Wilson will be on the score sheet for the away side. And in our penultimate game, we're off to the London Stadium as West Ham entertain Sheffield United. The Hammers were very underwhelming in their last game where they lost 2-0 to Everton, whilst the Blades pulled off a great performance and victory over Arsenal on Monday night where they won 1-0. Will West Ham bounce back with a win here, or will the Blades put together back-to-back wins for this game? This is a big game for West Ham here. They had a really good start to the season, but with no win in their last 3 games, things have begun to fall apart a little for the Hammers. and they'll be looking to get back on track in this game. As for Sheffield United, they've been great this season and have probably surprised many people with how well they've actually done, with all due respect and all things considered. Due to West Ham's inconsistency though, this makes it a tough game to predict. But I am going to stick my neck out on the line and go for a 1-1 draw. Either side could go on to nick this game, but I'm going to call it down the middle, say it will end 1-1, and say that Andrei Yarmolenko will score for the home side. And finally, we come to Newcastle versus Wolves, a game that's taking place at 2 o'clock on Sunday at St James's Park. Newcastle suffered defeat last time out when they lost 1-0 to Chelsea last Saturday, whilst Wolves had a Raul Jimenez penalty rescue them a point against Southampton following a 1-1 draw at Molineux. Will Newcastle bounce back with a win here, or will Wolves defeat the Magpies and take all 3 points in this game? An interesting game lies ahead here. It will be interesting to see how Wolves handle this game, having had to travel to Slovakia midweek for their Europa League game. As for Newcastle, they don't score enough goals, but they still could get a point from this game, because whilst they haven't been great this season, Wolves haven't completely hit the heights of last season either. My guess for this game is that it will end 1-1 with Raul Jimenez scoring for the away side. And that wraps up this Premier League preview show for Game 10 of the 2019-2020 season. Guys, if you have any thoughts, comments or predictions of your own on any of the round's fixtures, I'd love to read them in the comments section below. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, the Football Observer. This has been another Premier League preview show, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.